Okay. Hey Ken, I love the character. I was just going through the rig here. It looks really good. The only thing I notice is there's no independent hip rotation. Now these guys, they kind of translate the legs a little bit. I would like you to not use those. So I'm going to go through this, and I might sound a little harsh, but I pretty much tell this to everybody. But first thing is, there's certain things that if you do, I'm going to fail you. Okay, just right off the bat. Like this, if you animate the all node, like if you try to animate a walking and you move this to, you fail. Okay, no questions, no ifs, ands, or buts. That's it. Okay, you never animate this. This is only for positioning the character. That's it. Okay. Now, I'm sure you already know that, but I have to say it because I sometimes still get people that do that. Now, I posed your character here and I set it up the way it will make it easier for you to animate. Okay, like the pull vectors here, I set them up here to main. And the reason why you do that is so they don't follow the elbow. Because if you follow the elbow, if you move the arm like this, you have to keep constantly moving it back. Okay, you have to keep adjusting it. Now here it'll stay there. Now, of course, if you move the arm all the way over there, you're going to have to pose this too. But like, let's say like here you lift the arm up. You don't have to really worry too much about the pull vector, the arm swinging or the elbow swinging way out, because the pull vector stays put. Okay, you do have to move it along as you animate them, but it makes it simpler. Trust me, as you go. And what else? So I did that to the knees too. You'll see that here. They're set to main. Keep them that way and animate it. Now, this has a lot of controls on it. I was looking at, like here, you see I tweaked the ear. You got a lot of stuff you can do with him. Now, the one thing I noticed is the eyes don't really have, they don't really have like an open close kind of blend shape type of thing. So, but they scale. So if you're going to do blinks, you're going to have to use this. Okay, you're going to have to like animate them scaling up and down, which is not really a big deal. So it's going to be pretty much scale Y. So if you go like, let's say frame 1 is keyed, and then frame 5 is closed, we'll make that like 0.1. So you still see a little bit of it. And we'll probably want to scale it this way, so when they squash, it doesn't look like they're just shrinking. It looks like they're actually squishing. You know, they're maintaining volume, basically what I'm getting at. So if you look at this versus this, it looks kind of weird, right? So what you're going to probably want to do is anchor it here, which means the eye, when it blinks down, it doesn't just stay in the middle, it comes here. So when you go here, it's going to actually be, oops, sorry, I'm going to just use one channel, which is Y. Come down here. So then we'll go between the two, boom, boom. Maybe a little bit more up. 1, 2, right there, like that. So if he's going to blink, it'll stay anchored to the bottom of where his eye normally is fixed. Otherwise, it's going to look like it's swimming around his head. So I will take this pose here, and then I'll just translate it up a tiny bit, and then we can take this one, copy it back to 10, and then you'll have a blink. You know, like boom, 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 like that, right? Now, of course, you don't want it to just scale like this. Now here, actually, I would probably scale it out some. It would be X. Maybe something like that. And then I'm going to shift that over and shift R, which is for scaling. So it should stay roughly the same. So let's turn this off. Okay, so now you have a blink. So the timing is really even here, but still, you see what I'm saying. Turn it back on. So shift Z. Okay. Boom. Right? So here I would probably go that. So let's see. Boink, like that. Okay, so now you have a boink, you have a blink. So that's kind of how you're going to have to blink his eyes. Okay. Now you do have a lot of controls on his head and all kinds of bending. It's really cool, very awesome. But this can mess you up if you don't know what you're doing. So stick to the main rotation translation controls and put in some of that stuff later. Okay, so if he's going to be bouncing up and down, his cheeks are going to bounce. Don't do that in the beginning. Do it later. What else? Oh, his head is here. I notice his head control, it pivots there. There's no other head control to rotate his head. Those are all like bending his head, and here's his neck. So you need to animate both of those, not just one of them, okay, to get his head turning. His shoulders are set up a little odd. You're going to be translating them, not rotating them. Usually rigs I say rotate, don't translate, but it doesn't work with him. You have to translate them, okay? And his fingers are a little tricky. What I would suggest is taking like 1, 2, 3, 4, grabbing these guys and making a button up here. You know, putting a button on your shelf for the left and the right. That way you can key all. You know, you can hit, you know, S. You just, you know, you hit the select button for that and hit S and it'll key it. You don't have to keep grabbing each individual thing if you're not sure if you keyed it or not. Okay. And so I would do one for each hand, and I probably would do one for each finger, honestly, too, just so you don't have to keep reselecting all of them. These guys I would stay away from, all these bendy things. Don't mess with those. He's got really big feet. So when you're animating really big feet, you run into this a lot. See that where it starts pinching here? So you're going to have to customize his walks to work with his body. And another thing is, like I was saying, he doesn't have an independent hip control. He only has his cog, which can be a pain because now you have to rotate if you want to have twist in his lower body when he's walking, you're going to have to counter animate the upper body. So I would just keep his walking simple. And one thing you can do, I haven't gone through these much. Actually, I haven't gone through them at all. I don't think there's any specific controls for this guy. But what I would do is turn something on and off. Like okay, so I use these to pose his back, these square guys. Right? You see that's where I rotated it. So you could not use that. You could use the circles. But what I would do is make a layer and put all the stuff that you don't want to select, like you're not going to use, put it in here. Okay, so like there might be a way, let's see if there's something on the all node to turn these off. I don't think so. No. Well, so let's just say you're going to animate these little square guys for his body, right? Then take all the round ones and hide them. So just keep, because you do not want to animate both of these at the same time as you're blocking it out, especially because you'll get confused and you're going to have all this extra work to do. And we can turn them off like that, right? Makes it a lot easier. We can turn this off, these guys. I think this one too, actually. You don't need that because you have the pull vector. Now you can add that stuff later, but honestly, it's just going to make things more complicated. Keep it simple. So I would add these in there, these guys, because you got your pull vector. You're going to use that for the knee. You don't need to add any stretchy stuff. Nothing. So simplify the character by getting rid of stuff that you're not going to use. You might even want to make a button that takes all these guys and turns them off, and you can turn them off and on over here so they don't get in the way, just to simplify the way it looks when you're working with it. So in tail, just pose it simply, and then you're going to probably go back and do that last because it's all secondary action. So, okay, so I got everything in there, I think. Pull vectors, main. Pull vectors here, main, right? These guys. So when you're animating your character with the spine, you're animating a spine, you're going to use only squares or only circles to block it out, okay? That's all you need really, but you're going to do that, and I suggest turning them off here to simplify. Translations for the shoulders too, no rotations. Animating the eyes, you're going to be scaling them. You're going to be scaling them in Y and then probably in Z. I think it was Z or X. Let's see. X. So you're going to be scaling them in X and in Z, and you're going to keep them anchored to the bottom, so they're not scaling to the middle. They look like they're scaling down like that. Okay, to get a blink, and you'll also probably add in some eyebrow, right? These guys, all the secondary motion for the hair and all that, do that last. Cheeks, everything, even the bow tie. Okay. Now, one thing I'm going to harp on here, I want to see, like I posed your character here. He's posed, right? If I open your scene up and I see you have the T-pose, I fail you for the class. This is for PCC1, PCC2, and PCC3. There's no excuse for you to turn in a T-posey looking character. And just moving the arms down, oh yeah, another thing, the arms are going to be IK, not FK. Okay, IK. They're set up, I set it up for you now. So I'm going to post this file and put a link in the notes along with the link that you're, because you're watching this video. So you can open the file, you can download this file that I did all this to and start from here, with the character all set up for you, okay? So, hands, IK, not FK. What else was I going to say? All right, the spine is used for bending. If you're going to lean them over, you don't just grab the spine and do this. You don't just go, eh. That's not what you do. You use the cog. You use the spine. I usually make a button for that. You're going to lean them. Oh, it doesn't work together, does it? That's not good. Let's try the rotations. There you go. Okay, then you're going to animate the rotations, not the squares then. So you're going to use the rotations. So let's actually take out any animation I have on these guys. Come on. 1, 2, 3. So 0 that. Okay. I will add these to that, and then I will take these out. Because you're going to use these circles to animate. So yeah, that's better. So you're going to use these guys. Okay? So if he leans over to pick something up, you're going to use the cog to translate him down. And you're going to use those the circle controls there to lean him over. And you're going to use his bended legs to squat him down. You are not going to just grab the cog and rotate it. In fact, the cog is only for translations or rotating in Y. Like if he's going to change directions and turn around, that's it. Now if he's doing something extreme like flipping around, like flipping over his head, or it's such a hard thing to do, you can use it a little bit, but do not rely on that to bend him, okay? So, and when I say pose him, I mean fully posed. Eyes, mouth, arms, shoulders, fingers, toes, feet, hips, everything. Spine, that's a pose. Like I said, if I open your scene up and all you did is go from a T pose, I'm going to fail you. Because I can't stand that. That just shows that you're just phoning it in. So you're going to build poses, real poses, okay? All right, I think that's it. Again, I'll post this file for you, and then you can use this scene file. Okay, cool.